What truly makes a baseball fly out of the park? I mean, is it just about who's leading the home run charts or, the biggest names? We're talking about that amazing sound, the crack of the bat, the ball sailing.
Yeah,
It's electric, right? But what if predicting that is, well, way more complicated than just looking at a basic stat sheet?
exactly. Yeah, today we're doing a deep dive into home run projections specifically for June 25th. And our mission really is to get past that surface stuff. We want to uncover the specific, sometimes hidden conditions, the things you can actually exploit that signal a high chance of a home run. It's about breaking down matchups, into their core data-driven parts.
And the great thing is, this whole deep dive comes from a really solid analytical report that's been put together for you. It's kind of like having your own sabermetrics team boil everything down, giving you a shortcut to understanding the science behind the long ball. Okay, so let's unpack this. Predicting home runs, it's complex. It's way more than just, say, comparing a hitter's homers to a pitcher's ERA. It's this intricate dance of data, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Our method really rests on four key principles, four pillars. First up is platoon advantage, but we look at it with real specificity. The usual wisdom, lefty hitter versus righty pitcher, that's just step one. The real gold is in digging into a pitcher's detailed performance splits against each handedness. We're talking slugging percentage against, weighted on-base average against WBA, which is like a turbocharged OBP, and home runs per nine, looking for those big differences.
That's a sharp insight. But I mean, does that historical split always hold up? Or can pitchers adjust, on the fly? Are we just banking on past data, or is there isn't stuff backing it up?
That's a great point. Yeah, it's always a mix. We use the historical data as the baseline, definitely. But you're right, recent trends are crucial. Like take Nick Pivetta for Boston, right-handed pitcher. Overall ERA looks pretty decent, 3.64. But dig deeper, and historically, he's really struggled against right-handed hitters in his recent games. They show the same thing. He gives up way more homers to righties. So that creates this subtle opportunity for power righties on the Angels that you'd totally miss if you just looked at his main ERA number. Okay, pillar number two is the matchup between the pitcher's arsenal and the hitter's batted ball profile. This is where we get really granular. We break down what the pitcher actually throws like, four-seamers, sliders, and how often. Then we cross-reference that with data on how specific hitters perform against those exact pitch types. So, for example, a hitter who slugs well against sliders, he becomes a prime target against a pitcher throwing sliders over, say, 30% of the time.
Okay. So it's not just he throws fastballs, it's this specific hitter crushes this type of fastball. That's a huge difference. You're finding the sweet spot.
Precisely. Then, number three, venue and environmental factors. Ballparks aren't all the same, right? Altitude, dimensions, wind, that change things. Our part factors help quantify this. Anything over 100 means it helps hitters. For June 25th, keep an eye on Coors Field in Colorado. That's a 116 batting park factor, and Great American Ballpark in Cincy at 113. Key spots for offense. Talking about Coors. I almost picture pitches just losing their zip in that thin air, like, oh, not here. And finally, our fourth pillar, performance indicators and underlying metrics. We need to separate temporary hot streaks from real sustainable skill. Raw homer totals. They can fool you sometimes. So we look at things like isolated power, that's pure extra base power, and StatCast data like barrel percentage. Barrel percent tells you when a hitter makes that perfect contact, optimal exit velocity and launch angle for power. And hard hit percentage, hitting at 95 mile per hour or harder. A hitter with a high barrel percent, but maybe fewer homers than you'd expect, well, they might be due for more. They're hitting it right, just maybe being unlucky for now.
Right. Hitting it perfectly, but maybe right at someone. And then the last check, the practical one, availability. It sounds obvious, but you have to make sure these guys are actually in the lineup. Injury reports are key. A great projection doesn't help if the player's on the bench.
Okay, so let's talk key themes for June 25th. Looking at today's games, three big ones really jumped out at us.
All right. What's the first major theme creating these prime homer conditions today?
The biggest one, no doubt, is what we're calling the Coors Field cauldron. That Dodgers at Rockies game. Coors is always an offensive boost, but today it's extreme. You've got the Rockies rookie righty Chase Dollander. His overall ERA is already shaky, 6.19. But at Coors, it balloons to 9.58. And the killer stat, 8 home runs allowed in just over 20 innings pitched at Coors Field. That tells you his pitches just lose their effectiveness there. They flatten out in the thin air. It's basically a perfect storm for the Dodgers lineup. Not just the stars, but their secondary power guys too. Team number 2, exploit inexperience. There are quite a few rookie or less experienced starters on the mound today. We're talking about Jacob Misiorowski for Milwaukee, Sean Burke for the White Sox, Brandon Young for Baltimore, Didier Fuentes for Cincinnati, Richard Fitz for Boston. Analyzing these guys is different because the MLB data is thin, so we lean more on minor league track records, early platoon splits. Misiorowski, for example, his minor league stats show huge strikeout potential, but also wildness. Kind of boom or bust.
Or Brandon Young, tiny MLB sample size, but he's already shown a major vulnerability to lefties, letting them hit .375 against him.
Okay, exploiting inexperience makes sense, but how much of a gamble is that? With limited big league data, how do you weigh that potential upside against, the chance the rookie suddenly clicks?
That's exactly why it's a theme and not like a guarantee, right? Look for patterns that are already showing up, even if sample small, or established tendencies from the minors that seem likely to carry over. Like Young's issue with lefties, it's not just one bad game, it's consistent in the little we've seen. We're looking for those weak spots you can target, not just taking a wild guess. And the final theme, the power of the platoon split. But this time among veteran pitchers. Rookies are one thing, but some established guys have these hidden flaws. Nick Pivetta, again for Boston. 7.2 record, 3.64 ERA, looks solid, right? But his big issue, he really struggles with right-handed power. In 2024, his home runs per nine against righties is 2.13. Against lefties, only 1.34. That's a huge gap. So the Angels lineup, with guys like Mike Trout, Taylor Ward, Logan O'Hoppe, all righties, they stand to benefit from this split that isn't obvious on the surface. Finding these is key to smarter analysis.
Wow, that's wild. So even a pitcher doing well overall can have these specific exploitable cracks that most people would just miss.
Absolutely. It really makes you rethink what good pitching stats even mean sometimes. Okay, let's get to the players. The top dogs. The guys who, based on all this analysis, have the best shot at a homer today.
All right, leading the way, I think a huge shock, Shohei Ohtani. Lefties for the Dodgers. I mean, the numbers are insane. 26 homers, .624 slugging, over 1.0 OPS. But the edge today is how Chase Dollander's stuff just degrades in Coors Field. It's not just hitting a struggling pitcher. It's Ohtani's elite barrel control meeting pitches that have lost their bite in the thin air. They become flat, easier targets for him. It really is a perfect storm situation. And sticking with that Coors Field effect, you have to look at his teammates too. Freddie Freeman, another Dodgers lefty, he's got more surgical power. He might not always go for the fences, but his plate discipline and ability to hit for average and power, that gets amplified against Dollander's major struggles at altitude. He finds the barrel consistently, and Coors can turn those hardline drives into homers. Then there's Teoscar Hernandez, the right-handed power bat for the Dodgers. He adds that other dimension against Dollander. His kind of game-changing power plays perfectly in Coors, and Dollander's issues there aren't really limited by which side the batter hits from. The air impacts everyone. So Hernandez is another prime beneficiary.
It's really a lineup-wide feast, potentially, for the Dodgers.
Yeah, sounds like Dollander's just walking into a hornet's nest up there in Colorado. Okay, shifting away from Coors. Aaron Judge. His situation today really fits that exploit inexperience theme, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Aaron Judge, Yankees righty slugger. He's having a historic season, 27 homers, .727 slugging. His underlying stats, barrel percent, hard hit percent, they're consistently elite. Plus, he's playing in Great American Ballpark in Cincy, very hitter-friendly, 113 park factor, especially for righties. But the key insight here is the pitching matchup. He's facing Didier Fuentes, Reds rookie, only one MLB start, 7.20 ERA in that outing, and Fuentes relies heavily on a four-seam fastball. It's been getting hit hard. It's the classic elite veteran versus unproven rookie in a great hitter's park.
That makes a lot of sense. So finding those spots where huge talent meets a specific vulnerability. Who else is looking really good for power today?
Let's swing back to that Angels trio. They're set up perfectly to take advantage of our third theme, that veteran pitcher platoon split. We mentioned Mike Trout earlier, Angels righty. Still one of the most feared power guys, 12 homers. He gets Nick Pivetta, the Boston righty, with that massive weakness against right-handed hitters. Remember, 9 of Pivetta's 11 homers allowed this year, 2 righties. That's a 2.13 HR9 rate against them. Yeah. This is a real hidden gem found through deeper stats. Plus, Trout's actually hit Pivetta well before 3 for 6, couple doubles, a homer. And his teammate, Taylor Ward, another Angels righty, he's actually leading the Angels with 19 homers, slugging .466. Ward's a pull hitter, tends to get the ball in the air. That makes him ideally suited to jump on that same very clear weakness Pivetta has against righties. It's an obvious mismatch if you know where to look. And rounding out that Angels group, Logan O'Hoppe, the right-handed catcher. He's got real power, 17 homers, .471 slugging. Just like Trout and Ward, he's in a great spot facing Pivetta because of those severe struggles against right-handed batters.
It's really about stacking those righty power bats against a pitcher with a specific exploitable flaw.
It's fascinating how a pitcher who looks decent overall can have such a clear blind spot. Okay, moving on. Kyle Schwarber, Phillies lefty slugger. His situation's a bit different, right? Not a platoon advantage.
Exactly. Schwarber's a pure power guy, 20 homers, .557 slugging, elite barrel, and hard hit rates. He can hit anyone out. Today he faces Colton Gordon, a Houston lefty. Gordon's ERA is okay, 4.54, but he allows a lot of contact, doesn't have overpowering stuff. The angle here is Schwarber's raw strength and uppercut swing. He can overcome same-side matchups, especially against a lefty who isn't blowing guys away. Plus, a little context, the Astros pitching staff as a whole has allowed 17 homers in their last 10 games, so maybe some general vulnerability there too.
All right, now for maybe the most interesting part, the dark horses. These are the guys with fewer than 10 homers so far, but the deeper analytics suggest they could pop one today.
Yeah, these picks focus more on those underlying numbers, good platoon splits, or specific pitcher weaknesses that might not be obvious. First one, Josh Young. Rangers right-handed hitter. Only 3 homers because he's been hurt, but the talent is there. He was an elite slugger before. High hard hit barrel rates. He gets Brandon Young, that Baltimore rookie righty, with the 6.23 ERA and serious command problems, 8 walks versus only 9 Ks in under 9 innings. So you've got top-tier talent, basically disguised as a dark horse, facing a vulnerable rookie in a decent hitter's park. High upside play for sure. Sticking with exploiting pitcher weaknesses, let's look at 2 Cardinals lefties against the same guy. First, Nolan Gorman. He's got 6 homers, but his barrel percent and max exit velo are really high. It suggests the power is there, just maybe needs more consistent contact. Quality over quantity right now. He faces Eric Fed, Cubs righty. Fed struggles more against lefties, 4.28 ERA. 4 of his 6 homers allowed are to lefties. And Federer relies on a sinker-cutter mix, which are pitches Gorman actually handles quite well. It's a nice alignment of hitter strength versus pitcher weakness. And then his teammate, Alec Burleson.
Another Cardinals lefty. 9 homers, more contact-oriented, but still has pop. He also gets Fedian benefit from that lefty vulnerability. But the kicker for Burleson, his head-to-head against Fedian is outstanding. He's 6 for 15 with 2 doubles and 2 homers against him lifetime. That kind of documented success, plus Fedi's general issues with lefties, that's a really strong case for a dark horse.
Wow, yeah, that head-to-head data is a true hidden gem. Like finding a cheat code for that matchup. Who else is lurking in this dark horse category?
Okay, how about a couple of fade the struggling ace plays? First, Andrew Benintendi, White Sox lefty, 8 homers. Veteran guy. He's actually been hot lately. 2 homers, 6 RBI in his last 10 games. He's up against Zach Gallen for the Diamondbacks, normally an ace, but Gallen is really scuffling right now. 5.60 ERA, 15 homers allowed already this season in 91 innings. So you have a hot veteran facing an ace who's clearly off his game. Could be a nice buy low opportunity if you're looking for value. And his teammate, Lennon Sosa. Right-handed utility guy for the White Sox. Only 4 homers, kind of under the radar, but shows flashes of power. He also gets Zach Gallen. And those significant struggles, the high ERA, the 15 homers allowed, Gallen's pitches are just getting hit harder right now. This is definitely higher risk, but it's justified by how poorly the opposing pitcher is performing lately. For a pure park and power play, look at Michael Toglia. Switch hitter for the Rockies, 9 homers. His power is legit, and it gets a big boost playing at Coors Field. Now, he is facing Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the Dodgers' elite righty, with a 2.76 ERA. That's tough.
But Coors can sometimes neutralize great stuff, flat-out breaking balls. And Yamamoto has actually shown a slight vulnerability to right-handed power. 6 of his 9 homers allowed are to righties. It's banking on Coors being the great equalizer against an elite arm. Now, for a really high-risk, high-reward type, Rhino Hearn. Orioles lefty, he's right at that 10-homer mark we said, having a breakout year, hitting .304, slugging .480. But he's facing Jacob deGrom, Rangers righty, a true ace, 2.24 ERA, tons of strikeouts. deGrom attacks hitters aggressively. This is what fantasy players might call a GPP play, like for a big tournament, low probability, yeah. But if an ace like deGrom makes one rare mistake, the payoff could be huge, especially if not many people pick him.
That's a bold one. Betting against DeGrom making a mistake. Who else fits into that, let's say, very high upside but lower probability bucket?
Maybe our longest shot today is Bryce Terang. Brewers lefty, only 5 homers, not really known for power, but he does have some surprising pop. He's facing Paul Skeens, the Pirates' dominant rookie righty with a 1.85 ERA. Super tough matchup. However, looking really closely, lefties have had just a tiny bit more success against Skeens at .244 WOBA compared to .211 for righties. It's a sliver of an advantage against an ace who pounds the zone. An extreme deep sleeper, really. We also like Spencer Steer, Reds' right-handed hitter. 6 homers, solid RBI guy. His power numbers are maybe down a bit, but he can drive the ball, especially in that hitter-friendly park in Cincy. He faces Clay Holmes for the Yankees. Holmes is converting from being an elite closer back to starting. So there's some question about his stamina, how effective he'll be the second or third time through the order. Holmes also has historically struggled a bit more with lefties, but Steer's a capable hitter in a good park against a pitcher who's kind of in transition. That creates uncertainty, maybe opportunity. And probably our deepest sleeper, the ultimate flyer. Victor Scott II, Cardinals lefties. 0 home runs this year, known for speed. So why him?
Because he faces Eric Fede, the Cubs righty, who has one of the biggest platoon splits going, that 4.28 ERA versus lefties, 4 homers allowed to them, relies on the sinker. It's purely banking on that extreme platoon advantage. Could this be the matchup where Scott hits his first career homer? It's a true long shot based purely on the analytics of the matchup. High risk, potentially massive reward if it hits.
You know, what really stands out from this whole deep dive is the power of looking past just the obvious stats. Understanding these more nuanced layers, the specific platoon splits, what pitches a guy throws, the ballpark, those underlying metrics like barrel percent, it genuinely gives you an edge. It's not just what's on the surface.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, right, what surprising factors might be hiding in plain sight in seemingly simple stats, maybe in your own field? These ideas, this way of doing a deep dive into complex systems, it applies way beyond.